Did you ever want to know whether you should buy half a point, -3 to -2.5, -3.5 to -3, +2.5 to +3? We are going to answer that question later in the show, and it will be one of the most informative segments we have ever done. We have the math for you. We will explain exactly when and when not to buy a half a point. Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Always excited. Football 1 week away next Saturday. And I'll be talking about the first game of the college football season in just a minute.
Football 1 week away. I could have sworn there's football games tonight and football games tomorrow and football games on Sunday. Let's talk about one of the ones for tomorrow. Now, admittedly, it's not going to count in the standings when the season is over. When we talk about NFL preseason football, we're certainly in this matchup talking about two coaches who seem to care. Let's talk about the Bills and the Steelers. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Buffalo -1 over Pittsburgh. All the money's come for the Bills in the last 24 hours. Total's been bet up as well. 40 at the opener. Now we're looking at 42s, even some 42.5s out there. Ralph, Tom's 16-4 his last 20 preseason games. McDermott's 10-1 his last 11 preseason games, straight up. And this one, basically the straight up winner is going to win against the spread. What do you want to do with the Bills and the Steelers?
Isn't it funny, Teddy? I was working on college football this morning, so the college football mentality's in my mind. The preseason's already put away for me this week. But I am going to talk about this game, and I'll tell you what, it is going to be one hell of a preseason game. Buffalo announced yesterday they're playing their starters 1.5 quarters. Pittsburgh, Tomlin came back and said he's going to play starters, so we're going to see a real indication of what these teams have done during the first few weeks of preseason camp. Teddy, you said it well. We have two preseason A coaches. I grade all my preseason coaches A through E. The records you mentioned, McDermott 10-1 the last 11, Tomlin 12-2 his last 14. We also have two of the top 3 quarterback rotations in the league. We're going to see Josh Allen go for the Bills. Then you have Kyle Allen, an incredible number 2, and Matt Barkley, the best number 3 in all of the NFL as far as preseason is concerned. 4th season with this offense. Last week, he was 14 of 15 in that win against Indianapolis. Pittsburgh's quarterback rotation. Pickett's going to start. Trubisky in his second year here. This is a guy who has 55 career starts. Mason Rudolph, a guy who has 10 starts for the Steelers and is in his 4th season. And then we may see a few minutes of Tanner Morgan as well. You know, I'm going to bring this point out. McDermott this week didn't play any starters last week, but he said, I'm going to play him. It's to get him ready for the season. We took a little different approach last year. This year, we're going to get back to what we've somewhat done in the past, just trying to get the players ready, to get them ready for week 1. So for him to come out and play them 1.5 quarters is a significant change. Buffalo is 9-3 over under the last 12. Pittsburgh's first 2 games of the preseason, the last 4 seasons, averaging 25 points per game. Yes, this is a high number for preseason football, but I am going to go over the total with, again, maybe the 2 best quarterback rotations and starters seeing a significant time. And Teddy, your response is going to be, well,
Nope.
If starters are playing, then defensive starters are going to be playing, Ralph. What does that affect? The difference is this. Preseason, your offense wants to get going, but you don't defensive game plan. You don't blitz. You don't do unique trade-offs. You run your basic defense for the most part. Again, that leads me to the over.
Ralph Michaels likes Buffalo and Pittsburgh over the total of 42. If you agree or disagree, let us know in the chat room. Put it up in the comments. We've got a great show for you all. Teddy did not get a chance to ask a follow-up question because we're going to leave as much room as possible for our betting strategy segment, one that you guys have to stay tuned for. On our show today, it's Friday. Ralph Michaels, he just talked about Pittsburgh and Buffalo. We're going to also look at some teaser information. Andy Lang will be joining us after that. He's got 3 prop bets for us, one in baseball, one in Canadian football, and one in the big fight card on Saturday night. And, of course, Art DiCesare after that. If you guys like this show, if you like the information we give out, and if you want to know about all the other shows we do on the channel, and it is a ton, please like, please subscribe, please tell your friends about us. It would be greatly appreciated. Ralph Michaels, you have been hard at work on what I think is one of the best publications WagerTalk has ever given out, and it is free. The WagerTalk Guide. Tell us what everyone will find in that.
It is. It's just some of the biggest betting mistakes bettors make, and it's a MythBuster guide. My son and I put it together, and basically when we went through, I think there's 29 situations that people should know what the records have been for these situations. If you see on the cover, do you know what rate NFL double-digit favorites cover by? Do you know what home favorites do off a bye against the spread? How do teams do after they lose as a favorite of -3 points or more? We've talked about high totals and low totals. I broke those down. What percentage of totals of 39.5% or less go over the total? What percent go under? So again, it breaks out all the myths. It gives you year-by-year data for each of the last 5 years. It gives you 5 years totals. And you're going to be surprised by the first page. What percentage of home teams cover? What percentage of favorites cover? What percentage of games go over the total? So data that's not going to give you an exact winner for week 1, but it's just going to help you become a better NFL bettor.
So, Ralph, you're going to tease everyone with all. We got to give them at least some of these answers. I'm guessing the first answer is A and the second answer is A. Am I right?
Yeah, and Teddy, again, double-digit favorites, 57.2%. Now, I will say this. When you see the 5-year stretch of double-digit favorites, last year was the first time double-digit favorites finished under 50% since 2010. So in 12 years, double-digit favorites have never lost. So we'll have to see if perhaps those lines are getting inflated. NFL bookmakers are making too many double-digit lines. So that's a question mark. But home favorites the week after a bye, you go into a bar and ask 10 guys, hey, you're a rested team at home off a bye. Shouldn't you be the better team? Well, those teams have only covered 44.8% the last 5 years, and totals of 49.5 or less. We've talked about this. Sometimes bookmakers don't have to make totals as high as they should be or as low as they should be because their goal is to get equal money on both sides. But totals of 39.5 and less have gone under the total 59% of the time.
It's just unbelievable information packed in there. Even what you were just saying now is unbelievable information. I mean, listen, I'm going to throw out a number here. 30 million people bet in America. I just made that up right out of my ass. 30 million downloads. If you are betting NFL and you don't download this free guide, you're insane. There is so, I mean, literally, I went through this guide last night, Ralph, and I mean, there were pages where it will tell you what the percentage chance of a team covering a -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, +1, +2, +3, all the way. Every number that has ever been put out and how many times that number has covered. It discusses sandwich games. It is a mind-boggling guide. Congratulations to you and your son for putting it together. You want to talk about straight up and ATS teasers. Is it something in the guide?
Prez, it's the chart you were talking about. So, Dan, if you could, this just breaks down every NFL line. Now, listen, when you're betting NFL teams, you're not betting lines, you're betting situations. But it is important to know the historical value of where a number is and what the results have been. So these charts, there's one for home favorites and there's one for home dogs. Basically, I took every number from -1 to -1.5 to -2, going all the way to -17 and higher. The straight up record, the ATS record, the plus 6-point teaser record, the plus 10-point teaser record, the minus 6-point teaser record, and the minus 10-point teaser record. So if you're looking and you say, oh, I like playing NFL favorites of 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, and I like teasing them down, it shows you what the results are with a 6-point teaser.
Unbelievable.
Now, this chart is for the last 5 years. And again, we're just showing all the home favorite numbers. The next page in the guide would show you all the home dog situations all the way to plus 14 and higher in each of these categories.
So, Ralph, my follow-up here has to do with the number. You say these are 1-point favorites, 1.5-point favorites, 2, 2.5. I track lines, and there's always nuance. I'm always debating, should I close this as a 1.5 or close it as a 2? Because I'm looking at the full market screen. Is there a particular book that you use for those numbers, or do you use what you consider a general closing or a general opener? What are all those numbers based on?
Great question, Teddy. And again, every record's going to be different based on what database you use. And I'm going to give a shout out to killersports.com. Most of the data comes from them. And basically, they have a group of handicappers. I'll give a shout out to Sean Hess, who's been doing it for a long time. We take the number that we think most people can bet a game at. So if it moves quickly and for the whole week it's 3, and then at the end it moves to 4, it's going to be 3. If it's 3, 3.5 back and forth, there has to be a decision on which one you want to use. But it is astute handicappers making a judgment on what the majority of people could bet a game at. And again, there's no perfect answer to that, but I think it's the fairest answer when you're looking at the guide.
Big Blue Jays writes, already downloaded this great info. Well said. Big Blue Jay, I have downloaded it myself. Teddy, we are matchy, dude. We got to organize our plan a little better. I don't want to wear the same color as you. Ralph, what do you have to promote?
Well, I have a preseason 4% play up today. Oh, yeah, preseason plays, by the way, 78% on my preseason plays, 4% and higher the last 8 years. Oh, sorry, 77.6. I exaggerated and rounded it up to 78. So check out the preseason at WagerTalk. It's been an incredible run. The preseason guide's still available. There's still information as well. So looking forward to talking to you guys in a few minutes about buying on and off threes. That chart will be just as impressive as the download of the guide.
Guys, there's literally 2 things that you have to bet all year. If somebody said to me, Prez, 2 handicappers at particular times of the year in a particular sport, who are they? Which ones should I play? It would be Ralph Michaels' NFL preseason, and Teddy covers September month of the NFL. Those are literally the 2 best betting events that I know of. I mean, Teddy's September NFL is mind-blowing. And I speak to him regularly about it, and I'm like, how are you doing this? Teddy covers? You can answer that and tell us, what did Bettors learn last night?
How I'm doing it is I pay no attention to it, Prez. That's the truth of it. In terms of the long-term track record, I understand I have it, but I don't think about it. We're just focusing on week 1 of the NFL season, and that's what we do it 1 week at a time. When it comes to what bettors learn, well, I'll put it to you this way. We had a question about NFL with college football teasers yesterday, and I answered. And after the show, my wise guy friends basically ripped me a new a-hole.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. There's no egos here. When I'm wrong, mathematically, I want someone to set me straight. And my friends did. The quote, good grief, what are you doing? Whatever you do, don't repeat that pro college football teaser info ever again. So there are 2 factors to the equation. First, college football teasers by themselves. Now, college football teasers, as my friends told me very clearly, they're no good. I should have known, but I don't bet college football teasers. I only bet NFL teasers. So why do I only bet NFL teasers? Well, when do we want teasers? When the lines are as tight as a drum. The better the lines are, the better the point spreads are, the more teaser legs cash. In a teaser, you're buying points in 2 or 3 games, essentially, and then need them all to win. The NFL lines are tighter. College football upsets all over the board. You'll see it. 10-point favorite in the NFL wins more than a 10-point favorite in college, period, especially earlier in the season. So there's more volatility in the college lines, which says that the NFL lines and the NFL games are better to tease. But the egregious mistake that I made yesterday was mixing NFL and college teasers. And again, I don't bet college teasers, so I didn't even know this. Why is that an egregious mistake? It's the juice, stupid. Check your teaser pricing. All right, here in Las Vegas, South Point's 130 on a 6-point NFL teaser. Circa's 130 on a 6-point NFL teaser. Hard to win versus that vig. And those books are protecting themselves. College football teaser, 6 points. At Circa, it's minus 105. At Westgate, it's plus 100. That tells you very clearly they don't mind the college football teasers. And when you're mixing the NFL teaser with the college teaser, you're doing the effective minus 130 instead of the effective even money. And that's why it's such an egregious mistake. The math on mixing NFL and college teasers is flat out wrong. I got it wrong yesterday, Prez. Sometimes it's going to happen. When we do, and again, we do a live show, there's going to be mistakes. But when we do, we look to correct it like I did just now. That's what I.
Yeah, Teddy. Really quick on the there's some books, Teddy, and this will blow your mind. There's some books that it's minus 160 for a 2-team 6-point teaser. So I mean, sure. Yeah. But I do want to make one quick mention about teasers before we bring Andy Lang in. We've got some prop bets coming up, and of course, the BS strategy section. Ralph Michaels will be coming back into the show. I'm excited about the segment. Teddy, I want to tell everybody when looking at a teaser, understand that there is a correlation between the total and the spread when looking at a teaser. And the example is this. If in college football, you might have a big line from an NFL perspective, say -9, but the total is 63. So they're saying to you, points are not going to be hard in this game. Those are correlated. If you have a +7 with a total of 37 in the NFL, that is going to help you decide how to tease, whether to go up or down, whether to take the dog or the favorite. So there is a correlation between the two. Anything to add there?
Yes, you can talk about the correlation very simply. All right. When there are fewer points expected in a game, the points you're adding through a teaser are worth more. When there are more points, if there's supposed to be 37 points in a game, the 6 points you're getting, that's 1/6 of that. If it's the total 73, the 6 points you're getting is what, 1/11 of that or 1/12 of that. So, 1/12 of that. So it's not worth as much, even though you're paying the exact same amount for it.
Yeah. Rabmatic writes, Andy Lang, let's go. So, firstly, I think we're giving unbelievable information out right now. I mean, to me, I'm listening to Teddy and I'm salivating over the incredible information that is coming out of his mouth. It is rare, but it's happening in front of your very eyes. With that said, Rabmatic, Andy Lang, let's go. How are you, Andy? What's going on? Yeah, so what happened, Andy? I saw a picture on Twitter. You were in Vegas and now you're not, or something like that.
I developed an allergic reaction to medicine that I've been taking for 6 months. So I landed in Vegas, covered in rashes, turned around and went home. It's not been a fun week. It's been a nonstop diet of Benadryl.
Oy, oy, oy. Oy, oy, oy. Sorry about that, Andy, and I do hope you feel better, my brother. Okay, brother, let's get into it. We got 3 prop bets from you. We're starting with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at -150. Tell us why we should bet that.
A little bit juicy, but I think we're getting an unbelievably good number on a star player for this prop. He's gone over this in 5 straight games, gone over in 17 out of 20 games. He hits .291 against righties, and he's facing Alcantara tonight, and he's been good against Sandy Alcantara. 12 at-bats, he has 3 singles, a double, and a home run. And here's the biggest selling point for me on this. Alcantara pitched great in his last game through 9 innings, but he threw 116 pitches. That was 6 days ago. That's his most pitches of the season. His second most pitches he threw was 113 in May. The next game, he got blown up, 7 hits and 6 earned runs. So I think we're getting a really, really good number on Alcantara, who coming off his most pitches of the season. Mookie Betts is on fire. I think it's a recipe for a really good game at the plate for Mookie Betts. Give me the over 1.5.
Look for Mookie Betts to have a pretty good day today in MLB for the streaking red-hot LA Dodgers. Of course, listen, guys, if you like this type of analysis, please give us a like, give us a follow, and give us a comment. Give us your take. Talk about games, talk about guests, whatever you like in the comments section on YouTube. Makes all the difference in keeping this show free and live each and every day for you. 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon back east. Your Sports Central for gamblers. But we do need your help. So please like, follow, subscribe. Andy, let's talk a little Canadian football. You want some Blue Bombers in the first half. I see a -2.5, -110. Tell me why this is the play in the CFL for this weekend.
I think we're getting a discount here on Winnipeg because they're starting their backup quarterback, but their backup came in last game and just looked incredible. He comes in, his team is down 22-7. Now, it's against one of the worst teams in the league, but he leads them to a 38-29 win. He threw for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's not the whole game. He came in the second quarter. No interceptions, so he came in and impressed. And Calgary, the team they're playing, Calgary Stampeders, they're not that good. They can't score against good defenses. They've only won 3 games this year, none of them against the best teams. They give up over 26 points per game. Winnipeg's the 3rd best defense in the league. I like the first half because I want to avoid kind of the potential for a backdoor cover. But the defense of Calgary can be exposed on the ground, and I just think this number is too low because they're, quote, starting their backup quarterback. But the backup looked incredible. I don't see a big drop-off from the starter to the backup. So great number at -2.5 in the first half.
Andy Lang joining us. Andy, before we get into your final bet, what do you have to promote for our amazing listeners?
Well, we've got our MLB best bet of the day, and we've got a PFL and UFC pack. That is up. The PFL is tonight, UFC is tomorrow, but you'll get plays in both of them. Number 1 in winning percentage, we're at 57.5% in baseball for the entire season. So I would love to keep that number of 57.5% going throughout the season. That would mean a big-time unit. So been running good in most sports. Grab the baseball play of the day and grab the UFC PFL pack as well.
Awesome. Awesome stuff, Andy Lang, everyone. And you're feeling better, right? I mean, you look mediocre at best, but that is really good for you.
Prez, after the last few days, I'll take mediocre. I'm ecstatic with mediocre. I've never
Prez
been more
lays
happy
down a
with
compliment.
mediocre. Yes, thank you for the
You
compliment.
hear that? I'm so complimentary today. I shaved, by the way. Not really shaved. I trimmed. I haven't had a clean-shaven face in about 2 decades. Karine Silva. There is always a Silva in an MMA fight. That's the name of warrior royalty. What do we do in this fight?
Well, we're going to take her to win by submission, and this number I think is fantastic. So she's -155 just to win. Okay, so the books are telling us she should win. But she's +225 to win by submission. She's won 5 fights in a row by submission. She won her Contender Series fight by submission. She's 2-0 in the UFC, and she won both of those by submission. Her last fight, she basically tore a woman's knee in half, put her out for a year. She can win by choke. She can win by armbar. She can win by knee bar. She's won by heel hook. She is relentless when the fight starts to get her opponent on the ground. Her opponent that she's fighting is a boxer. So on the feet, Karine Silva is probably going to lose. But once it gets on the ground, it's advantage for Karine Silva all day. And sneaky little tidbit. These women fought 9 years ago when Silva was just new into MMA, and she lost to this opponent by armbar, by submission. So what sweet revenge would it be for her to win by submission tonight against somebody that submitted her almost 10 years ago? I love this number. Minus 155 to win. No, I'll take the plus 225 to win by submission.
Sure. Andy, man, you have a lot of conviction when you speak. I'm gonna sprinkle a little on that bet. Thanks for joining us, my friend. I hope you feel better, and I'm sorry about what happened on your airplane flight. But you're home now with your wife, and hopefully you'll have a great weekend. Andy Lang, everybody. Teddy, are you ready, man? Are you ready? It's time for your big game breakdown. After that, the betting strategy segment, and Art to Caesar still to go. Teddy?
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk a little preseason NFL for Saturday. The Denver Broncos traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. We have seen a little bit of money for San Fran in the under today. This was 4.5 last night. Now I'm seeing 4s pretty much across the board on the WagerTalk live odds screen. Split total, there are 39.5s out there. There are 40s out there as well. When you read the quotes from Sean Payton, he appears to be fairly interested in winning. He said that he expects his starters to play up to 25 snaps in this second preseason game. The first-team offense played 20 snaps last week in the opener, and they weren't very good. They weren't very sharp. There were issues with the protection scheme. Payton's quote, "You want to see flow and rhythm in the game. Ultimately, you want to see touchdowns. That's the main objective when you're playing on offense. A little bit better protection and a lot of details that we looked at from a week ago." Of course, Payton was asked if it's important about winning or not, even if it doesn't count in the standings. Quote, "It does matter. It's a mindset. You have to be able to get the evaluations done, but it would have been a better feeling last week if we'd have won that game. I probably would have been a little cheerier in the post-game presser. I think it matters." That's a bet on quote. Don't know that we're getting that from the San Francisco side of the equation. Likely to be Sam Darnold in the first half. Quote, Shanahan's quote, "We plan on going Sam in the first half. I might get Brock in there for a little bit. But whatever it is, if we don't play Purdy, Sam will have the whole first half. And if those guys do open the game with Brock and some of the ones, it probably won't be much longer than a series or two." San Fran got annihilated here in Las Vegas last week, 34-7. That was all turnovers. They did move the football, but it was a vanilla defensive game plan, with a vanilla offensive game plan. I'm expecting more of the same here. Denver wants it. San Fran doesn't. In the preseason, that's what matters. Denver -4 is the only way I would play this game. Yeah. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
One of your better big game breakdowns. Javier Cash writes, "I'm surprised San Fran is a dog." No, Javier, we've spoken about this a million times. It's counterintuitive season right now. And Teddy, it makes total sense logically that Sean Payton wants to come in, change the culture, get that offense in sync fast. They had such a bad taste in their mouth last year. And frankly, there is just no reason for San Fran to care. And with Mike Shanahan's intricate and creative offense, we're not going to see much of that during preseason. Love that pick. Okay, guys, it's time for the betting strategy segment. Danielson, put the question up first. I want to know what half a point is worth on and off 3. For example, what is better? Is it better to take a -2.5 at -1 at -125, or a -3 at -110? You understand. When do we buy a half point, and why, and how much should we pay? Ralph did an extremely deep dive into this. The math speaks for itself. Ralph Michaels, explain, regale, and teach us when to buy or not buy a half a point off of 3. By the way, we will do 7 next week. Ralph, you're muted.
Better, guys, now that I turned on my microphone. I didn't want you guys hear you guys talking to myself as I'm handicapping games while you guys are talking. So 3 things we looked at. Going from -3 to -2.5. Going from -3.5 to -3 and going from +2.5 to +3. So I took the data going back since 2015, and I chose 2015 because that was the year the extra point got moved back. So the margin of victory changed at that time because of more 2-point conversions. So you'll see the chart. They're identical with the exception of the different scenarios. But we have the record straight up and the record ATS on the left. How many times it landed on 3 and what percentage of the games there were. The new record, if you bought that line. The don't buy record is how many units you lost if you just bet every 3-point favorite. So example on the top chart, one amazing thing is, Teddy and Prez, which has nothing to do with this chart, take a look at the ATS records of 3-point favorites and 3.5-point favorites in the NFL. They're 45% and 46% since 2015. So everything here is based on what those records were and how much better it would have gotten. So on the top, buying from 3 to 3.5. The ATS record is 125, 153, and 27. If you did nothing and bet every minus 3-point favorite, you lost 43.3 units. If you bet them on the money line minus 155, you actually lost 50.5 units. So that's not highlighted in green because it's worse than not doing anything. If you had to lay 160, it shows what your money line losses were. Now, we know there is no 10-cent buy from 3 to 2.5, but I wanted to put it in there just to show you how powerful it is. If you were able to pay 10 cents to go from 3 to 2.5, you were minus 31.6. Now, that's green because that's still much better than the minus 43.3. So you see negative numbers, but it's showing it's better than don't buying a number. Paying 20 cents, you see it's worse. Paying 25 cents, it's worse. So don't go from -3 to -2.5 don't play the money line at -3, and do not buy from 3.5 down to 2.5 unless you pay 10 cents.
Ralph,
going from 3.5 to 3. Go ahead, Prez. Sorry.
No, sorry. Ralph, I'm going to jump in real quick. Dan, put that chart on the screen. Ralph, I'm going to make this super simple. The bottom line is anything that is green is a positive. So from going from -3 to -2.5, if you're paying 10 cents to go from -3 to -2.5, that is a good thing to do. If you're paying 20 cents, it is bad. And anything over 20 cents is terrible. It is always worth buying a half a point going from -3.5 to -3. Always. As you can see, it comes across on the bottom all green. If you lay -3.5, you will lose 27 units since 2015. If you bought half a point for 10 cents, you will have lost 9.8 units, and so on and so forth. So every time you see a minus... Sorry, Ralph?
Let me jump in there because there's one point on the -3.5 that I think is the most important point of this whole chart. You see on the chart in the middle there, if you don't do anything, you're minus 26.7 units. You see if you were able to pay 10% extra, 20% extra, or 25% extra. So pay plus 25 means you're laying the 110 and laying 25 cents more. So you're actually minus 135. But look at how strong the money line numbers are. Because if you're laying 135, if you can get a money line of minus 170, that means you're going through 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3 for only 40 cents more. So the money lines are the strongest bets available. Even if you can get minus 175, it's the best number there is. I also put a minus 190 range. And listen, you got to shop because at minus 3.5, you can find minus 170, minus 175, I saw some minus 200s on minus 3.5s. But if you can get minus 175 to minus 185 and an NFL team laying 3.5, that shows you it's positive to pay the money line in that instance.
So, Ralph, all I see is negative numbers on that chart. It's negative,
Yes.
negative.
That was
you
so
lose money.
fascinating.
Lawrence, it's my question. That you lose money when you buy from 2.5 to 3, that you lose money when you buy from 3.5 to 3, and that you lose money when you buy from 3 to 2.5. They're all negative expectation wagers. In 2023, where there are legalized, regulated sports books in most states, multiple options where you can line shop reasonably, where you can bet in game reasonably, can we ever look someone in the eye and go, yeah, you should buy a half point? Because I haven't bought a half point. I don't even know the last time I bought a half point. 20 years, maybe more. Do you buy half points? Is there a reason to buy half points? Because this chart is telling me don't ever buy a half point. And if you wanted to, do it in game.
No. Ralph, I'll answer that question. No. Thank you. Teddy, Teddy, follow the logic here. And I understand that this is a lot of math. Dan, put the chart back up. Teddy, what the bottom line is, every single -3, -2.5, every single -3 and -3.5 and +2.5, every one of them would have made you lose money since 2015. So ATS, you would have lost 43.3 units if you bet every -3 since 2015. You would have lost 26.7 units if you bet every -3.5 to -3 and so on. However, if you bought the point, so if you look at -3.5 to -3, if you paid 10 cents and bought it down to 3,
you would have lost. Pay 10 cents. It's not available for 10 cents, Lawrence. That is a theoretical line that Ralph put up there Teddy, to show. When you're giving bad info, you're giving bad chart, info.
If you bet 20 cents, if you paid 20 cents, you would have lost 18 units instead of 27 units. If you paid
it's still a negative expectation wager.
It's still a negative expectation wager, but if you buy the
so
points,
how are we making a profit? How is it a good bet to make if it's a negative expectation wager? Explain that. I understand it's better.
It's not a good bet to make, but people are betting minus. Okay, guys. Well, Teddy, we're done. Guys, the bottom line is if you're going to bet -3.5, buy the half point. If you're going to bet -3, do not buy down to -2.5. And if you're going to bet +2.5, buy up to 3. That's the bottom line. That's what we're talking about. They're all negative bets. They're all bets you will lose if you blindly bet every single game at that number since 2015. But you will lose less if you buy the half points. That's it. Ralph, I think this is incredible. I need you to tweet that out. Thank you so much. I am so sorry Teddy didn't understand what you were talking about at all. Art DiCesare joining us, everyone. Art, what did you think of that chart? Did you understand it?
It was a little small on my screen, but I am going to go back and look at it. But, I mean, I understand it from the perspective of, yeah, buy half points. We're all about you buying half points. That's all you need to know. I mean, and I know this from just, yeah.
Real quick, Art. If someone comes into your shop and buys a half point, are they going to be put in the recreational bettor category or in the pro bettor category?
The recreational bettor category.
Okay. So what you're saying then, Art, is that you guys don't study the math either. Because we have just shown you when to buy half points and why they are effective. The bottom line is, if you blindly bet -3.5 since 2015, you would have lost more money than if you bought it down to 3. That's just a mathematical fact. No matter what Teddy says, no matter what the Westgate says, It is a mathematical fact.
However, if you line shopped and for the 3.5s and found a 3, or waited till the game started and bet them at -2.5 instead of -3.5, based on the chart, Lawrence, you're correct.
Obviously, that would
the
be
chart
better.
is not the full piece of the betting equation. The chart is just, this is what's available at this book at this time, as opposed to teaching and showing our audience how, hey, there are other ways to get around getting that half point without actually having to buy it.
Obviously.
Let's talk about what's going on in NFL preseason action this weekend. Obviously, we've got 2 games tonight, Giants, Panthers, Bengals, Falcons, and a full slate for tomorrow. What are you seeing? Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like when it comes to NFL Week 2 preseason?
Sure, Teddy. And I like what you said. I think the new thing is the in-game betting. That's just taking everything over. Like, you could just wait for in-game options and you could just go from there. But as far as the 2 games tonight, Panthers, Giants, a little bit of money on Carolina at 3.5. We're sitting Giants -3. You know, it's funny. The total's kind of gone all over the place. Open 36, got as high as 39.5. We're now down to 37.5. So there was some buyback on the under there. Bengals, Falcons. We actually took sharp money on both numbers that we, moved on. We were at Cincinnati +7, took sharp money there. Went to Atlanta -6, took sharp money there. Now settled in the middle at Falcons -6.5. And a couple of games tomorrow. I know that you talked about the Denver game. Denver money has flown, it's just kind of flown in all week. Same thing as last week with Denver. We basically opened the Niners, and it was short-lived. Niners were -1 for us for about an hour. Then we got to Denver -1. Now we're at Denver -4.5. So a lot of Denver money. And then the Pittsburgh and Buffalo game. Buffalo at Pittsburgh. We opened Pittsburgh 2.5. It's now Buffalo -1. That's been nothing but sharp money taking Buffalo at +2.5, +1. Even now, when we got all the way to like 3 yesterday, buying back on the Steelers at 3, trying to middle the game. So a lot of action on these preseason games.
Action coming in fast. Lawrence?
Teddy?
You said to go, and then you started talking.
That's why I said Teddy.
Arthur, when we talk about NFL preseason action, certainly not surprising that we're seeing a fair bit of wise guy money coming in today. It's when Fridays tend to be a day where the lines bounce around. When it comes to week 0 and week 1 of college football, certainly next Friday at this time, we'll have plenty to talk about in terms of where the money's bouncing. But when it comes to week 0 and week 1 college football lines, when it comes to season wins in college football, are there any teams that you're getting a sense, hey, the wise guys really like this team. Hey, the wise guys really don't like this team. Anything stand out to you in terms of early college football thoughts and opinions?
Well, let me throw a team out there that's a little under the radar because obviously they're not a Power 5 team, but they do play in week 0. UTEP has gotten a lot of love, not only in the win market, but in their game, week 0. I want to call it week 1, but I guess it's technically week 0. UTEP at Jacksonville State. We opened Jack State -2. It's now UTEP -1. So a lot of sharp money's come in there. And the UTEP win total, like I said, has been very popular. Another week 0 one that it's kind of sharp, but there's been public on it too. San Diego State at USC. Opened the total 63. Hit as high as 65.5. It's creeped back down half a point. Total is now 65. A lot of over money. People obviously expect USC with the Heisman Trophy winner coming back and Caleb Williams to put up a lot of points. So no surprise there to see the over money come in. But the early over money was sharp at the 63, and then the public got on it a little later.
Yeah, USC taking action for week 1, man. That seems like an annual tradition where USC takes money, the over takes money. The Trojans tend to be a fairly hyped team here in Las Vegas. At ArtDice21 on Twitter. He's an excellent follow. I encourage you to give Arthur DiCesare from the Westgate Race and Sportsbook a follow. He's worth following. And when it comes to MLB action, I don't see you tweeting a ton of baseball, but sometimes you tweet a little MLB. What are you seeing on today's card Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? Where is the money flowing on Friday's MLB slate?
Yeah, obviously baseball takes, kind of a back seat. We talked about this last week. Once the preseason football starts and then next week with the college football, baseball will take a back seat. But even with the loaded slate today, really only two games to kind of focus on, a sharp play and a public play. As far as the public goes, Mariners at Astros. We open Astros minus 140. It's now 155. So a 15-cent move to the Astros. That's been really nothing but public money coming in, parlay money coming in as well. And then our sharp play, Tigers at Guardians. 8.5, now 8. So under money came in overnight, moving that total half a run.
Art DiCesare, Art, we can't thank you enough for coming on every Friday, man. You're going to be on all football season long. We got to come up with a name for your segment or something. Art's Armchair. I don't know, but anyway, we can't. It's such a privilege for us to have you
Prez,
on this
I got
show.
the perfect name.
Go.
Rolling the dice with Art.
Roll, Daniel. We need
Roll
music and an image.
It's done.
Rolling the dice.
Rolling the dice. Come on.
There you go. Art DiCesare, everybody. Art, what do you got to promote?
Listen, guys, now's the time to come down to the Westgate, man. We, got everything rolling. Week 0 will get going next week. Obviously, all the preseason stuff. Everything you want for futures as far as both college and NFL. We have all the NFL games up from weeks 1 through week 18, all the college football games of the year, over-unders for everything, just everything you want as far as your football betting menu. Come in, sign up for the contest, sign up for our NFL Wins contest, sign up for the Super Contest, all that stuff. And if you ever need information on any of those things, please come down, ask for Arthur DiCesare. If I am available and not that crazy, I will always pop out from the back, give you a couple minutes, say hi, and help you with whatever you need.
Wonderful stuff, Art DiCesare. Guys, Teddy and I clearly had a fight. It's okay. He can't. Look at that. He's got none of that. We disagreed on buying half points. Put up your thoughts in our comment section. I want to hear from you guys. I believe that it is worth buying half points in some areas and not in others. I want to hear your thoughts, and so does Teddy, and we'll continue this conversation. And next week, Ralph's going to come on and tackle the whether you should buy 6.5 to 7 or 7.5 down to 7. So I think it's worth exploring, whether we argue or not. It's informative and interesting information. And the bottom line, guys, is we have to get into we have to go, if you want to be a winning sports bettor, you got to go deep. You got to go deep into the numbers. You got to study the stuff. You got to understand the stuff. There's a lot more to winning bets than just picking games. Teddy covers. Huge shout out to Dan and Joe and our production team, to Ralph Michaels for all the hard work that he put in today, Andy Lang as well, and Art DiCesare for taking the time out of his day every Friday to join us. We'll see you Monday. Please take us home.
Sure. And when I can get steam blowing out of Prez's ears, I know I did something right. That's going to wrap it for the week here at WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again next week, each and every weekday, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east, live on WagerTalk TV. Between now and Monday's show, enjoy the games. Have a great weekend, and best of luck with all your wagers.